Hi, thank you. My name is Matt Bennett. I'm a UI developer here at Practice Fusion. So as you've already heard from Javier and Nick, and also from David, our flagship application here at Practice Fusion, our electronic health records application, is built on Ember, as is our component library that David just talked about. In addition to those two code bases that are in production, we also use Ember internally to rapidly prototype user interface designs to validate layouts and components and user experiences across all the different devices and screen sizes that we currently support. Just as many responsive web applications do, Practice Fusion supports many different kinds of devices: tablets, laptops, desktops, and what is becoming pretty common in some of our providers' practices are these super wide displays. The application is built across a number of different media queries and platforms. So when we're designing new layouts, we often get static comps of how a specific user experience should look or lay out in the application. But the static comps don't quite represent what's going to happen at the different sizes that are in between those media queries. Say at an odd size, that might be somewhere in between a iPad in landscape mode and say a 1200 pixel wide screen on a laptop or a desktop. So what we wanted to do was build a tool that demonstrated what could happen to a specific design or a layout across a lot of these different breakpoints. We were inspired by a few other prototyping tools out there like JetStrap and the Angular Form Builder that allow users to quickly mock up layouts, but they weren't custom to our specific implementation. Our page building tool uses our responsive framework that's built on Bootstrap 3. It uses our component library, our style guide. Everything that we currently have in production is available to us in this tool. The prototyping tool supports drag and drop components, allows for property editing via component inspector. It supports build and preview modes, as well as displaying our responsive grid for frame of reference when laying out a specific page. So I'm going to test drive it here on the big screen. So what we're looking at here is the context of our application in the context of a patient chart, specifically a patient profile page. This page could contain anything basic patient information, name, address, might contain insurance information, notes. But what the tool lets us do is kind of add to this layout using the components that are available to us on the left and dragging and dropping them into the canvas and being able to edit, say, a specific class that might be associated with it, edit some text that might be associated with this component, and then we could also drag in, say, something else here and edit its properties, maybe get rid of the placeholder because we don't need it. And we can also modify the grid row itself to have it layouted a little differently so that across the different sizes get a little bit more column space depending on how you want it. So how do we get there? We started with an Ember CLI application, and then we have a single static JSON file that allows us, that drives kind of all the components that are available to us in the left-hand column in the toolbox. Each component has n number of configs associated with it. They might be, like in this case of this text file, it might be classes, class names, the type of input that it is, the placeholder copy if you want to change it. Basically anything that this one component can edit, or any other component that's available in the toolbox can be defined here so that it's editable in the property inspector. As I stated, we support drag and drop. Ember out of the box supports native HTML5 drag and drop. So we have some code samples here of our draggable item, and then our draggable drop zone for when components are dropped onto the canvas that we need to populate inside the rows and columns. With the release of Ember 1.11, a dynamic component helper was added that allows us to pass a component name as a parameter to render any component and its configs. And while this might be kind of a tiny code snippet here, it's really the foundation upon which this tool is built. It enables the dynamic rendering, of any component defined in our config.json file into the DOM when you drag and drop. Persisting the data in order to save progress and share layouts with other team members, we use Firebase, the Ember Fire add-on, which was talked about in Ben's chat earlier. The components and their configs are persisted as they're added, modified, and deleted from a specific page that you're building. So in conclusion, rapid prototyping helps speed up development. Layouts can be validated across many different devices, screen sizes, and media queries prior to UI developers implementing them, spending time to actually implement them in the application. This can eliminate potential for layout issues arising late in the development process from a layout that maybe doesn't quite work on one of the smaller devices or one of the larger devices. That's it. Thank you very much.